now. Um, you want to tell me more about that cat now that we're live?
Oh, wait, you actually want me to?
I mean, like I guess to add chatter while I'm still fiddling around with like the first settings and all that. Oh
Well, my
shit.
sister sent me this video, and there's a walk-in clinic, and they have a cat that lives there, and her name is Triage, and she just exists outside and in like the lobby area. She doesn't go into the like actual clinic or anything, but she's just there as kind of like a comfort animal.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
I love
That's
that
pretty
so
cool.
much.
Yeah. There was a TikTok video I watched recently that they were like they were like imitating uh different animals and like how they respond to like, getting their nails clipped and all that. It was so funny. Okay. So Twitch is live. Twitch is good, I think. Um, YouTube is not receiving or
Facebook is working. I have it up.
Facebook is working. Okay,
Mhm.
fresh that. Um, but uh, the video might not just be the video might just not be playing on the dashboard for me, but but it could. Oh, yeah, I see it. Well, I see. Okay, now where's the where's the dashboard though? Oh my lord. Yeah, Facebook uh Live Oh, is going to be yeah, a I little see bit it. of a learning curve Well, for I me. see. Okay, ooh, now where's uh Facebook is going to be the end of me. Okay. Uh, and as far as I know, YouTube is also still just like not listening. Um, oh, actually, okay. Well, I see like Twitch as soon as Restream started like receiving data and like sending it out, um, the Twitch dashboard integrated the video, but I it's not coming up on my dashboard. I'm live right now. The thing is like whenever I was a streamer back in like 2018ish, um I I did mostly Twitch. I was starting cuz like it was mostly Twitch back then, like period, and then like I started to oh, there we go. Um they had like started adding like Facebook gaming all this stuff to it like back then whenever I was doing it on Twitch. And I was like looking into getting on like getting in on Facebook Live, um, and the like I had a page that I think I recently hid because it has like, oh, actually, um, what the picture I had as like the profile picture for my gaming page on Facebook, um, was from this one day that I had put on makeup for acting class, and like I guess I was just trying to go because I think we were reciting monologues from uh I think I had a monologue from The Tempest. Um and so I was gonna go like with like a bit of like a either like a goth or like a darker fairy type um for my portrayal. So I like had like purple eyeshadow under my eyes and like kind of like a triangle, but it was like smoked out a little bit. So it was more like darkness seeping from my eyes. Um and uh and then I wore this I'm still a little obsessed with tank tops. But like it was this tank from like Rue 21 or something. It was a it was thin and sort of like dark gray and it had a hood. I still in some way I don't know if it's ever like I've never had like a good looking one, but I did really like tanks with like tank tops with a hood on it, right? Okay. So, do you have the questions doc pulled up? Are you still there? I haven't been able to hear you this whole time. What happened? Oh my lord. Was this tank from like Rue 21 or
Can you not
something?
hear me at all?
It was a I can
It
hear you
was
now.
thin,
I can hear you
Okay.
now and sort of like and dark gray
also.
and it had a hood. I
Oh,
I found the problem. The problem was that I had oh my god. I had the live feed from Facebook up and I was hearing myself. I muted Facebook, but then it also muted Facebook Messenger.
Oh,
Technology.
that's funny.
Yeah. Well, um, I'll just monitor that on my on my phone, I guess. Um, but yeah. Um, I can have the YouTube and Twitch chats. Um, eh,
Let me know when you're ready for the questions, and I have it pulled up.
uh, yeah. I guess give me my first question of the stream.
Alrighty. So, what inspired you to run for office?
Yeah. Uh, we've talked about this times before. Yeah. So I mean, like, I grew up as a um. Oh Lord, it's definitely different on live. Uh, uh, hell, I should take the opportunity for for now. Um, okay. Um, yeah. So I decided to run because I'm sorry. Give me the question again.
What
uh,
inspired you to run for office?
yeah. I think part of what inspired me to run was the awareness for my own struggles and um the struggles I see a lot of other people like me and not like me um that we're facing every day. And I've really like worked at um like taking my experiences and struggles and like in a way relating them to other or like seeing the connections between them and how like say like with trans healthcare um right now we're seeing a lot of legislation being introduced to try to uh take away our access to that healthcare healthcare that is given to cis people as well including cis minors and so like if we allow our current politicians to get away with taking away these rights, it negatively affects everyone, right? Um, because for one, like like we've seen with abortion bans in different states, whenever those bans are put into place, uh, different healthcare providers and doctors will just leave the state entirely because they don't want the risk of losing their license or like they don't want the risk of being uh uh like heavily surveilled and sued by the state or even having criminal charges just for providing life-saving healthcare. So what I'm saying is that if we allow that to happen to trans healthcare as well, um, then you're going to have a lot of like undue scrutiny on our healthcare professionals. That's going to just end up pushing them out of the state, you know? And that's a problem for a small state like Louisiana, where I think healthcare is in our like one of our top five industries. Um, and even though it is in the top five of our industries, like we still have a lot to go as far as like access to healthcare. Um, you know, I say like for me to actually get my hormones and like have it monitored well. I say that in the sense of like by a doctor who knows specifically about that healthcare. Um, like I'll have to drive like an hour to New Orleans. Like it would be nice if there was one just right here in like a Hammond or whatever. Um, but anyway, what I'm saying is that um oh god, that was a bad tangent. That was a really bad tangent. That went way off. Um, I'll work at it. But I'm saying that like all of our struggles are connected, and I just see with each one of these different like struggles or like each one of these different issues that I see people like rallying behind, whether that's trans rights, abortion rights, BLM, et cetera, all of these different issues, even whenever the public raises like massive outcry for policy change, we're lucky to get, you know, an inch. Whereas whenever the most wealthy and powerful in our country like whisper for policy change, it's done, you know? Um, and so like I'm really tired of seeing that. I don't like how money has been able to allow a minority of people. By that I mean like billionaires essentially, like um, to allow billionaires to amass just so much power in our government that they completely drown out the voices of who that government exists to serve in the first place, which is all of us. Uh, but yeah, so like I guess like many other people in the U.S., um, I got tired of our issues not being cared about, and and like a lot of our seated officials just selling us out to these corporations, lobbying them all the time. Um, and that has implications for our campaigns too. Like we one of the things I imagine we'll talk about a good bit in the future is how, uh, to run a campaign traditionally, or because of I need to brush up on the details, but I think it was like Citizens United or something like that. Um, how it takes so much money, like the even just campaigns nowadays are a whole business, the whole industry. You know, I I've barely gotten my word out there, but just because of my FEC filings, I've had a few different companies uh like sending me mail being like we have this software to track voters and stuff like that. And it's like I don't know. First of all, I don't have the money for that. It's early in the campaign, my first time running, and it's grassroots, and and uh, and some of it just kind of doesn't feel right. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't know. I uh, I don't know how the latency is on my upload here is like 20 megabytes per second.
I have no concept for if that's good or bad.
It's not great. I had I had looked up like what would be a good enough bit rate for a stream, and it was like, yeah, if you have at least like 2000 kilobytes per second, which is like a really low um unit of data measurement, I guess you could say. So I have pretty much like at the minimum of what is good for a stream. Um but it's honestly, if we want to talk about that, internet access in rural areas, uh say like I'm a proponent of uh is it municipalizing, uh anyway, I I am a proponent of like turning our internet infrastructure into municipality, or uh so let's say in more like local terms, we have in Lafayette, Louisiana, we have Lafayette Utility Systems. Um, I don't know the history off the top of my head, but at some point, the um, the local government there and the voters voted for this. They voted to start a public utility service. Lafayette Utility Services provides like I think water, electricity, and internet. And I think well they're contracting out for their trash, but uh but so the those utilities are publicly owned, right? Uh the activity of those companies is accountable to the public. Um the the inner goings on of that organization is much more easily subjected to like Freedom of Information Act filings. So if someone wanted to like like make sure that uh this publicly owned program like LUS um make sure that like there's nothing shady going on with this public money, they can just file a FOIA request, right? So it allows for much more public accountability of these services that um say like what I'm saying essentially is that like I see these other utilities as essential as our postal service, right? Whenever the postal service was vaguely, so I did not prepare details for a lot of this, but this is a test stream if anyone has joined. Um, but we whenever the ideal of the post office, right, is that information um and communication is vital to like human cooperation and especially like for democracy, right? Uh I feel like I'm just spit those words out. But what I'm saying is that like the postal service was seen as so essential that it is necessary like it got about already. Uh the post office is seen as so essential, like mail service is so essential that, like even people in the most remote parts of Alaska or etc. Still get mail service, right? Like the we made it through policy an obligation for everyone to be able to receive postal mail, um, right? And at affordable prices. Um, and I remember whenever whenever in the during the Trump presidency, they were trying to erode away at our postal service. Oh my god. Uh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Back up. I'm just feeling a little self-conscious about my ranting, my tangents.
I mean, it's good to make sure that all your opinions and stuff are out there. That's also what part of this stream is.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, uh, so anyway, okay. Actually, back to that. Um, so here's one of the reasons why I think our utilities, such as like electricity and internet, should be like municipalized. um, so
Universal broadband is the term that I've usually heard.
yeah, universal broadband. Uh, because so I think it's a little bit easier in terms of like electricity for people to understand this. Or at least I feel like that would be true for like dealing with companies like Entergy in Louisiana. So by like by way of how our electric grid structure works right now, um, for you to change providers if you're dissatisfied with their service, if you can't afford their service, et cetera, et cetera. For you to change that service, you have to like pack up and move out of their region, right? Um, because it's not like with the internet too, like they have specific parts of the network that they're taxed with maintaining or that they own. Um, and so like that's why whenever lights go out and so say like here in town Holden, the campus is like some of the buildings are with Dimco and some of the buildings are with Entergy. Whenever one service goes out, the other half still has electricity because those grids are separated, at least to some degree. They can be bridged for like emergency responses and stuff, but for the most part, um, they're they're separated, and so that's why like if you like don't if you become dissatisfied with the service of one company, you have to physically move and go into the region of another company. Um, and there's only like so many companies in a region as well. So there's by virtue of how the system is structured, there's very little choice in electricity providers, and even when and realistically, only the only people that have that choice are the people with enough money and resources to be able to just move because they don't like. And I've never heard of anyone just moving to a completely different state or region of the state just because they didn't like an electricity service. Um. So and also, uh, but so if we were to uh make our electric grid public, a universal in terms of like, if our government actually like owned and ran uh our electric grid, the operations of that service would be much more accountable to the public, and there would be much more like it would it would make it cheaper. By that I mean that like there's no surprise fees. Hell, you know what? And on that topic, um, after Louisiana got hit with Hurricane Ida, um, when Louisiana got hit, um, like there was massive damage to the electric grid. Um, a main transmission line actually in New Orleans had blown down, and for a lot of people in Entergy's service area, they were without electricity for a month. And I think that like more people became aware after that, that or at least to some level of like a negligence potentially, as far as like um as far as making the system more resilient to weather, which is going to be an increasing issue intersecting with climate change, right? Because Louisiana is going to see harder hurricanes, we're going to see more flooding, etc. Stuff that the electric grid is vulnerable to. And if the privately owned companies in Louisiana continue to push whatever money they get from the customers towards their investors and not into the system, we're not going to see that kind of resiliency in our system that's necessary for our future, um, without either stronger government oversight of that private corporation, which is a massive corporate like Entergy. Uh, I don't know if, but I have a hunch to say is the largest energy provider in the U.S. Is it? Well, I mean, I can. Well, Statista thing. Extra energy. Next. I need to do more research into. But oh, I don't know. But anyway, what I'm saying is that like with such a utility or with utilities in general, honestly, like I see pretty commonly that water is a public utility. Why haven't we done that for energy? Why haven't we done that for internet? A lot of it probably comes down to corporate greed. Uh, uh, yeah, I'm just a little rusty. I don't know what's happened last 2 weeks. Maybe I've been on too much of an impromptu vacation. Um, well, let's actually pull back a little bit. Um, by that I mean let's hold off on another question.
Okay.
uh, yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't even know if anyone's actually with us. Um. But did you have a chance to look at the audio levels?
On Facebook and YouTube, it seemed fine.
Okay. Um. Thank you. Um. But yeah. I guess I'll tell you a little bit about what we're. Um. The other day I went and helped, or I say helped, but like I did it. Uh. uh. We went and cut down a tree in my grandmother's yard. Um. Me and her kind of bicker about her trees because I'll be like, "Why do you want to cut down all these trees? Like it's good for your soil." Like she had I remember at one point when I was living with her, she had all the trees in her front yard, the big trees, like cut down. And I was like, "Mimi, now there's no shade on the house. It's just going to be hotter." Because around that time too, so like whenever my grandparents moved into their house, they um they actually ended up building onto it because it had just like a galley kitchen. Like it only had enough room for one person, really to move around. And my grandmother was not having it, so they built onto the house, and that increased the square footage. And then their air conditioning unit was not big enough. It did not have the tonnage for that extra space. So it would just be like during the summers, especially, it would just be constantly running and running up our light bill. We're back at electricity. um, but uh, and so like I just would tell my grandmother like, "Mimi, you cut down these trees, and now it's gonna be even harder to heat the house." Luckily, she did end up getting a new unit that can cool down the house decently, but those trees are gone. But she wanted to cut down a smaller tree that was in our backyard. Um, and we ended up taking it back here to the house. And like we just added on to the I think it's like Google Culture. I remember where I keep forgetting how to say, but it's like Google Culture. It's basically a I told you about that, didn't I? The
Yeah.
yeah, the German like yeah, well, I guess since there's a stream, I'll save for other people. A Hugelkultur bed is like it's this type of flower bed or plant bed. I guess it could be considered as like a class of a raised bed, but I should get like a dry erase board or something. Or maybe I'll chalk paint it. But anyway, what you do is you lay down trunks and branches on the ground, um, and then you cover that with a layer of like leaf litter, mulch, grass clippings, whatever. And then you put soil and topsoil over it as another layer, and then you can plant your plants on that sort of like mound that you've built up. And the hardwood that you've put as a core of this bed will soak up a lot of water for your plants. So it will allow you to not have to water this bed as much as you might would in like a normal raised bed. Um, and so it retains that water, um, which also helps you keep water on the property longer, instead of it just washing away, out into. Uh, I was gonna say the Gulf, and honestly, that's true for like the more for like the majority of this continent of of the U.S. But anyway, and as that wood breaks down, it also like provides more nutrients to the plants. So we are building one in the front yard, and so we took the material from the tree we cut down for my grandmother, and doing that with that. So did that, and then I also uh my grandmother had scrap like wood and tin from a new porch she had built on her house. Uh, and so we're gonna use that to build a chicken coop, and we have chicks coming in. Um, about 15, because that was like the minimum without a small order charge, and they'll be coming in, and I'm really excited. So um, that's a little bit of what we've done. It was a really busy weekend. Um, um, I don't know if we've got any. We had like hello. Um, yeah. No. Well, as far as the technology, like the tech goes, I think it's decent. I don't know how I could necessarily increase the bit rate.
Yeah, that's not my area of expertise, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's just a internet thing, internet provider thing. Um, I'm wondering if that integrates or and I've lost it. Oh, I forgot to record this for you. Oh no. There's not good material in this stream. This is a
It's
cursed
okay.
first stream. But our virtual camera. What's that one? I gotta relearn OBS. There we go. Okay. Well, okay. So I just learned something else about Restream. I think it can pull the oh, okay. That's a setting I'll look at later. But yeah, I think it can pull the yeah, it pulls the chat from multiple streams. It's showing only Twitch and YouTube though. Which if I can if that if the like chat from Restream does pull well, um then I can get those tabs out. Maybe that'll help. Well, not great. I wonder if 23 wouldn't be bad. Okay. Next question, maybe. Good practice.
Yeah. Um, how are you best equipped to represent poor and um or lower and poorer class residents?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think compared to, well, I don't necessarily want to like compare myself to other or like to already elected officials, um, much, but like there's this, what is that saying when like that leftists, like other leftists have of like, you know, the experiences of a person in the group, um, will always be more informed than someone outside of the group. I don't know. I need to. Okay. But no, yeah. So what I'm getting at is that like I grew up poor. I'm still poor, and I have listened to people, uh, or like I've done a lot of looking as far as like like I guess like with my journey of like struggling with poverty, that has led to me asking like, why am I still in this situation, right? Like, why haven't I been able to escape poverty? I went to college like I was told to do, uh, this, and that, and tried my hardest, but I'm still in the trap. And like I've increasingly found that like it's not any moral or individual failing on our part. It's a policy issue. You know, houselessness is a policy a choice. Poverty is a policy choice because these things only exist because of either the value that we yeah, hi Sophie. Um I'm currently talking about like why I feel or like why I see myself as being equipped to represent uh lower and poor class people. Um yeah. Um and So as I was saying, like I grew up in a poor household in a rural area. Uh, I grew up in Holden, Louisiana, and uh, I've come to find out that like poverty is a policy choice. Like unemployment is a policy choice. Whenever whenever we have more housing units in this country than there are unhoused people. What's stopping us from just putting them in that housing? It's the policies we and the value that's written into our laws surrounding these property and like who has access to them and whatnot. You know, it's a policy choice. So like I am a proponent of like housing for all. Um, But yeah, Sophie, since you're here, are there any like specific policies that you would like hear me speak on? I'm This is the first stream. Um, getting back into streaming, and like my campaign manager who is in call with me, um, has heard me say a lot of this stuff a lot more eloquently, but just getting back into the groove of speaking about these things because we haven't been doing as much the last 2 weeks. But yeah, let me know what you would like to. If there's like, I want to know about what concerns you, um, and I would like to inform you about what my stances are. Um, on my screen, the my video cuts out, but my download speed isn't that great either. It might be fine on upload. But until I get a quick response, I would like to focus on issues that our rural communities are facing. Um, so what I mean by that is we're seeing like an erosion of our rural ways of life, which have heavily centered around um, community, right? Like, say, like, whenever our pump froze in the Arctic freeze the other day, not the other day, last month, Alexandra, I had called my dad to come and help because we were hitting a few roadblocks. Um, and he comes over and he looks at the pump and all that. My dad just pulls out his phone and starts calling um like different people that he has like relationships with, you know. But not only him, but like, you know, like he would call a cousin and that cousin would know a guy and then like that cousin would just say like, yeah, just tell this person that my mom went to school with their dad or something like that. You know, that's how tight knit and that's how much rural communities, at least in the past, really valued the relationships that we had with other people and the way that we would show up for people um who knew other people that we cared about. You know, like there was a network of community. And considering we're seeing like we all know how hard it is to get by these days. Having to work 40 if not more hours a week, and often like all adults in a household having to work that long to be able to um, just afford housing and food, right? So that takes us away from our communities for a long time. And if you're living in if you're struggling financially, it can be really hard to even have the energy to connect with people on your off days.